Weather alert.
Good evening. A new severe thunderstorm warning issued for parts of our area that includes portions of Johnson City and Fall Branch. Let's zoom into this storm and show you what is heading towards Fall Branch and Jonesboro. We've got a large thunderstorm over Rogersville. Had a history of producing some large hail, and I've got several reports out of Rogersville near Old Stage Road of some large hail falling and hitting windshields. This hail will be large enough to cause damage to cars and any outdoor objects that easily can break due to hailstones. So if you live in the Fall Branch community, in Johnson City, in Jonesboro, along Highway 93, into Colonial Heights, right along the 81-26 split, I would highly recommend putting your car in a shelter right now underneath something as this large hail heads your direction. Some of this hail has been over half-dollar size. Let's put a query on it. 1.8-inch hail right now indicated just north of Rogersville. That's heading towards the Burgensville and Baileyton area over the next little bit, generally in about the next 30 to 45 minutes. Another severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the Castlewood, Lebanon, and Brumley Gap areas. This is for a storm that was producing some large hail earlier. Now I think the threat with this is more on the form of some strong gusty winds. I think the highest threat with this storm down here is hail, and the highest threat with this storm is those gusty winds. Let's put a storm track on this one for you. It's moving southeast around 45 to 50 miles per hour, and we're going to go up here and put a query on this. So we will go to draw and storm cone, and we'll put this out to the southeast around 45 miles per hour. That's going to put it into the Clinchfield area right about now. The Cleveland area on 812, looking for portions of Honeacre around 827, and the Rosedale community around 830. This storm here, though, is likely the strongest one at this hour, producing some large hail. That storm has had a history of producing that large hail as it's gone over the past little bit. So what I want to do is zoom in very close to this, and we will put a storm track on this, because this is going to be heading into a largely populated area of our viewing area between Fall Branch and Geraldstown, with the potential to produce some damaging hailstones. So we will put a storm track on this. It's moving towards the southeast around 50 miles per hour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put that query right along the strongest part of the storm, right where that hail core would be. So you'll likely get some rain before these times, but the hail will be likely moving into the Dykes Mill community around 811, Blair Gap around 812, Fall Branch around 817, John Adams Elementary around 820, the Sulphur Springs area around 824, and Gray around 826. Chief Meteorologist Dave Dirks joins me now as well. Dave, these storms have really been producing some very gusty winds, and some large hail has been moving through. And
we're going to need to get the yellow mic on.
You're up, I believe.
All right, cool, dude. Yeah, we do have some pretty incredible storms coming across the areas. As you mentioned, right now that activity that's pushing in through the Hawkins County area, now crossing the line into Greene County. That storm obviously showing kind of a little Boeing structure there too, so maybe not only some large hail, but could be some strong winds with that as well.
Yeah, in fact, the Weather Service earlier was talking about how this storm was indicating some form of rotation. Really, we're not seeing anything that indicates a tornado, but we are watching, you know, this storm rotating in its nature. It's a supercell thunderstorm, so that's one of the reasons it's producing that large hail that we've been seeing.
A lot of upraps in those storms for sure.
And some of the reports we've been getting from some of our viewers have been some large hail that's come up pretty quickly. We got the report out of Rogersville earlier. It was Stagecoach Road, Dave, where there was some hail falling, some rather large hail. So what we could do here, I'll zoom in real closely, and let's put a indicator on some of these roads. That's right near the Blair Gap community, Beech Creek Church, McFeeder Bend community, the Blossom community, and Fall Branch, where this hail is going to be heading over the next 10 to 15 minutes.
All right, so we can kind of point this out a little bit better now, Ricky. There's the storm here. It's off to the east now of Burgensville, but pushing into Greene County right now. Here is Interstate 81 right through here, running through Greene County. So that's going to be penetrating obviously into northern Greene County, getting close to Geraldstown and Fall Branch as we go through the next little while. These severe thunderstorm warnings, Ricky, what time do they expire? The new one just came out for parts of Greene County and Hawkins County and Washington County and Sullivan County. So we have several storms still that are being warned for, including the activity that's moving now through Russell County into the northern part of Washington County. And as Ricky pointed out, we're getting some reports now from parts of Hawkins County, for example, around Rogersville, that there has been some hail with these storms now moving from Hawkins County into Greene County. Also, this storm here just to the south of Sneedville is going to be pushing into the lower end of Hawkins County and may again affect the Rogersville area heading toward Bulls Gap, then continuing to push into parts of Greene County. So these warnings obviously will continue to bring the possibility. I think our main concern, Ricky, don't you think, is going to be some large hail?
Yeah, for sure, David.
And that warning lightning.
That warning goes until 8:45. That's one of the reasons the Weather Service has warned this storm is that large hail potential. You know, it's not very often we see indications of pink and purple showing up on our radar. And can you explain a little bit about what that is and why it's showing up?
Well, we got the reflectivity. When you get these heavier areas of rain that the radar beam hits, and then it bounces back, and the stronger the reflection back to the radar is, the higher the reflectivity, the darker, the more bright the color is. And a lot of times when you see these really bright purples, that's where you're going to see the stronger updraft within the thunderstorm, and that would be indicative of perhaps some very large hail, up to maybe 2-inch diameter, maybe half-dollar, quarter size, probably coming out of the storm right now, as well as it pushes now into northern parts of Greene County. But there is some lightning strikes with it as well. As you can see here, the cloudy ground lightning strikes affecting parts of Hawkins County and into northern Greene County as well. But these storms, as we put it back into motion here, is still mainly west of the Kingsport area. But here is our hail tracker indicating where the likelihood of the half-dollar size hail, and that would be in the red right here, and that would be 1.5-inch diameter hail that was moving across 11W and is now moving into the rural areas of Hawkins County and eventually into Greene County. So if you live in Bayleton, for example, in Geraldstown, Fall Branch, especially this zone right through here, they're kind of moving southeastbound, and this looks like to be where the heavier core of the hail is right now, getting close to Burham in Hawkins County, and we'll be heading into Greene County with that large hail. And probably a good idea to have your car inside your garage, or if you can, get it under some kind of sturdy structure so you don't get dings on it. But this is the track over the next half hour, taking it from east of Rogersville across Interstate 81 near into the south of Geraldstown. It looks like the core of that one would probably stay just to the north of Newmansville, but would be affecting areas like West Pines Elementary School, Lost Mountain School, and back toward Bayleton, to the north of Bayleton there on Van Hill Road. So we got to keep a sharp eye on this storm. This does appear to be the strongest thunderstorm, does it not, Ricky?
It certainly does. In fact, I'm going to zoom out and we'll kind of reset everything, Dave, because there's been several warnings and a lot of them came out all at one time. So let's turn on our traditional radar look, which you typically see, and we'll kind of just go on a radar tour here. So I'm going to take you first to that storm over portions of Russell County.
And so the dangerous part of this storm is right here, just to the north of St. Paul and Castlewood, to the east now of Highway 63. We'll be pushing closer and moving over the Cleveland area shortly, and moving toward Lebanon and Honaker and Rosedale. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 8:30 this evening, but the more severe part of the storm looks to stay probably just to the north of Hansonville, north of Brumley Gap, but will be affecting Cleveland and Lebanon and Rosedale, and also areas like Honaker. But some of this activity where we have the severe thunderstorm warning into northern Washington County may clip Hansonville, perhaps Greendale and Brumley Gap. But just from watching the trend of this moving off to the east, it would appear that the stronger part of this storm stays to the north of Abingdon here over the next half hour or so. But the most intense storm right now, though, as we've been talking about, a couple of them. We're talking just south of Sneedville now. This one's pushing off to the east about 35 miles per hour, but this is our stronger one. Take a look at the purple that Ricky was talking about right through here. Some intense rainfall, likely some large hail and some gusty winds with that as well. This is to the south of Surgoinsville. We can zoom in a little tighter. We might get a couple more communities to pop in there, and we can see the community of Kepler. There's Tarpon Valley Church, Beach Creek Road, Van Hill, Stacy. All of this now moving off to the east. We've already got some really intense rain and lightning, probably some hail in the Beach Creek Church area as well. So this storm pushing into the northern part of Greene County. There is Lost Mountain School, West Pine Elementary, Geraldstown. So folks in Greene County, especially northern Greene County, need to be alert, taking shelter from this storm in your safe place in your home, and expect the possibility of some large hail and perhaps some wind gusts up to about 60 miles per hour. As we check out the wind velocity, Right here, the brighter shades of green would be where the stronger winds are, and this is a loft, all right? We're not talking about necessarily this being at the surface. This is where the radar beam hits the particles in the rain inside the storm, and is able to determine what way the wind is blowing, but also how fast it is at that level. And it looks like our strongest winds are going to be right through here, near just to the north of Bayleton. That would be Van Hill Road, between Bayleton and Van Hill, and could be, I would say, wind gusts maybe up to around 50 to 60 miles per hour. Ricky, would you say with this?
Yeah, in fact, let's switch over to a different source here, Dave.
All right.
I'm going to put us over on our one of our other products we have, because I think it's showing the wind a little bit better.
Right.
So this is our high definition radar, and what I want to turn your attention to is this area just west of Fall Branch, right through here, where you see these bright reds and these bright greens, indicating some downburst winds coming out of this storm, and potential of those storms to be, those winds to be over 50 to 60 miles per hour.
And I mean, that's kind of what you look for also when you're looking inside a thunderstorm, to see if there might be some rotation too. When you have winds, blowing away from the radar in one color and winds blowing toward the radar in another color, you get those tightly packed together, those two colors, and sometimes you can get maybe a brief spin-up tornado with something like this as well. I'm not saying that that is the case, but that's something we'd be keeping an eye on. But nonetheless, we're looking at kind of a 3D look at this particular storm, Ricky, and the cloud tops on these and the storm tops. You can also see, where the updrafts are and how that's helping to sustain the wind shear, helping to sustain these supercells for quite a while. They've been going for hundreds of miles, well, at least a couple hundred miles back to the west, as they've been pushing from Kentucky and Tennessee into our part of northeast Tennessee and southwest Virginia.
Yeah, these storms have been holding their own pretty well. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'll go back, Dave, and we'll show you the last 4 hours of radar data.
Right.
And so look at how these storms, especially that one near Hazard, watch that one. That one just raced to the south and east as it pushed into portions of Wise County and Dickinson County.
That's the one that's affecting Cleveland right now,
Correct.
and heading toward Lebanon, Virginia. That one's had pretty much a severe thunderstorm warning with it during its entire life cycle so far, as it developed in central portions of Kentucky earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, that we don't see supercell storms around here very often, and we're lucky today that our cloud bases, our moisture in the low levels of the atmosphere is just low enough to not really get a tornado potential.
Yeah.
I was looking at what we call the LCL, or the condensation level of the atmosphere. It was around 2,500 feet earlier. And while that may not mean much to you guys, the higher the LCL, the lower the tornado risk. That's why we're always saying today, if you watch this morning, if you watch this evening, tornado risk was low, but not zero.
Plus the winds, as we've gone up through the atmosphere, has been, largely unidirectional too. We haven't had, the winds turning as much, with height as we would normally want to see or expect to see if there was going to be a high tornado threat. Now the winds are very strong as you're going up, so there's lots of wind shear. It's just not necessarily the favorable wind shear with direction, the changing of wind height with height. So that's something we'd keep an eye on for tornado development. So like you said, the risk of a tornado is quite small, but the higher risk is going to be the possibility of some large hail. In fact, Ricky is looking at our hail tracker here on our Power 5 Doppler radar, and still indicating maybe larger than half-dollar size hail, perhaps up to golf ball size hail, now developing with this thunderstorm just to the east of, well, it's east of Rogersville, south of Burgoynesville, but pushing in through rural portions of Hawkins County right now. And this area here also could have up to quarter-size hail. We'd say maybe nickel to quarter-size hail, and that's pushing south of Churchill, but is moving into the far western portions of Sullivan County, so would be affecting Sullivan Gardens and Colonial Heights, perhaps Kingsport, maybe just staying, the core of this staying just south of Kingsport, the worst of it, but also toward the Fall Branch area here over the next half hour or so. Well,
and Dave,
probably less than a half hour. We
do have a report out of Rogersville, some nickel-sized hail. We've had some reports of some hail as well in the Burgoynesville area.
We want to remind our folks, too, if they're getting some storm reports, they can send those to us. You can post them on our WCYB, Storm Track 5 Facebook pages. Get the information there as well. Of course, we're streaming live on Facebook right now on mine and Ricky's and Storm Track 5 and WCYB as well. So we will continue to monitor these thunderstorms, and should some new severe thunderstorm warnings develop and be issued, we will break in live and give you more information here on News 5. But until then, you can join us on our Facebook pages, and we'll continue the live coverage. So now back to regular programming.